Hey you guys, what's good? So I am here with I promised you guys this story time a while ago. So I wanted to keep my promise and tell you guys the story time. So this, if you guys read the title, then you already know like what's this is about. It's not clickbait. It's a totally true, 100% not fabricated in the least. I just want to start with the backstory to this, and then it was just super traumatizing. Something very traumatizing that happened in my life that I will never ever forget, and I won't ever be the same person, to be perfectly honest. But basically, it happened. It wasn't last May, it was the May before. And I remember that it was on a Tuesday afternoon. And at that time, I was very dedicated to running every single day. Whether I ran at the gym, I always ran in the mornings. And I would always go about 10 a.m. or so, 10:30ish. I always went at that specific time. And I stayed pretty close by my house. I don't travel too far. On my runs, I would do about 2 miles, sometimes 2.5. So this particular time, like I said, it was a Tuesday afternoon. I ended up going later than 10 a.m. This time I went, it was closer to about 12:31. And for some reason, I just got a late start that day. So, I went later in the day, and I was starting to run, like around, my street goes in a circle. So I was starting to run up and down my street, and I had noticed that there was this car. And like I said, my street goes in a circle. So I had noticed that this car circled around about 2 times, and it was a Lincoln. I'm not sure the year. It was an older Lincoln, right? It was like a champagne, like a light goldish champagne-y color. And it had one of those hood ornaments that were for the that's how I knew that it was a Lincoln, right? So basically, I had noticed that this car was just circling around. It had come about 2 times. I didn't really think too much of it until the third time he circled around. This time I'm running, and all of a sudden he's going pretty like slow, like driving like slow motion. And I'm kind of like, oh my God, like leave me alone. I'm not interested. So I still stay running. I'm actually even like motioning myself to go more off, like by people's houses rather than staying on the sidewalk. So I'm getting more onto their like front lawns or like front driveways, because I'm just like, what is this guy's issue? Like, leave me alone. I'm not interested. I would make a point though to like look at him, throw him a dirty look, or like turn away real quick, because for one, I wanted him to know that like I knew he was like being weird, like being creepy. So this happened about 2 more times, you guys. No exaggeration. This went on about 5 times at this particular time. Finally, I got so pissed off. Like, I was trying to run around. I wanted to go home, but there was no way that I was going to be able to make it to my house, because every time that I would try and run back, his car would pull back up, and I did not want this full scene where I lived. Um, so that's why I didn't just run home. Like, duh, go home. But like, I couldn't go home because he kept like driving around and then bumping into me. Not literally bumping into me, but driving while I was running. So at this point, I'm just getting like fed up. I'm pissed. So I literally was like, I am not interested. I'm not a hooker. Leave me alone. Like, I screamed at him, right? And he just like sped off fast. And then all of a sudden, I got this feeling of like, shit, regret. Oh my God, I shouldn't have yelled at him like that. Like, what if he comes back? Oh my God, why did I yell at him? What if I just pissed him off? Honestly, you guys, a man's ego, like, you can't do that. Like, he could be crazy. Like, I don't know. So instantly, I have my headphones in, and they're Bluetooth. So I call Nate on my phone, and I'm like, babe, like, this guy keeps coming around. Like, he's freaking me out. Like, I don't know what to do. Nate's instantly like, go home. I'm like, I can't go home. He keeps going around the circle, around the bend. Like, he keeps coming around. He'll see where I live. So Nate's like, you need to go to Valerie's house. Valerie's my neighbor. I'm like, nobody is home at Valerie's house. He's like, okay, this guy obviously wants to like do something, like whether it's kidnap you or whatever. I'm like, my God, don't say that. He's like, well, what is he doing? He's like stalking you. He's like stalking a prey at this point, And I'm like on the phone with Nate, and I'm like, shit, he's coming again. He's coming again. Nathan's like, what? So what I did was, I was on the corner of my street, and I backed myself up all the way into this person's driveway, and I was pretty much against their, what's it called? I was pretty much against their garage. So I'm on the phone with Nate. Nathan hears the guy at this time. So the guy yells out the window and he's like, hey, can you give me directions to this street? You know, he says the name of the street. And I'm like, what? And he says it again. He repeats himself. And I'm like, it's the same street that you keep coming out of. It's over there. So then I like point to where the street is that he's asking for. So Nate's just like, okay, hurry, 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 hurry. What you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go through the alleyway. You're going to have to go back around through the school, and then you can get in through the back door. Like, hurry, go home. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I am certainly not going to get myself trapped in an alleyway. Like, I'll be alone. Like, that would be perfect timing for this guy to like take me if he was going to take me, right? So I'm thinking, oh my God. So I'm talking to Nate in the middle of the street, and I'm looking down towards the house. I'm getting really brave at this time, and I'm thinking I could probably make it. I could probably make it home without him catching me. So then all of a sudden, I look down our block, and I'm like, OMG. My heart's in my stomach. Nathan, this guy is parked in front of our house. Nathan's like, what? Are you positive? I'm like, I'm pretty positive. I was kind of like farther down, so I couldn't see like perfectly, but I was about 75% sure that he was parked in front of our house. So I'm looking down and I'm walking up a little bit, and I'm getting closer and closer, and all of a sudden I see the hood ornament, and I'm like, oh my God, it's him, it's him. I'm like, shit, like what do I do? Nathan's like, go the opposite way. Go, just run, go the opposite way. So as I'm starting to like go the opposite way and run, I hear his car, like, so he would be coming up this way behind me. I would be going this way. So all of a sudden I can hear the car, and I hear it speed up, and I'm like, fuck, he's coming, he's coming, he's coming. So I'm looking towards him, you know, like in the vehicle. So he parks right here. I'm like here, and this is the car. And I'm literally in front of my neighbor's house, one house away from my home. So I'm in front of my neighbor's house, and I turn and look at him. And all of a sudden, you guys, I see he is driving out of the passenger seat like this. He has a gun pointed out the window. I'm on the phone with my husband, mind you. He has the gun pointed out the passenger window, and he's like, get off the phone and come here. And I literally was like, fight or flight. You know, this bitch, she went on a flight. I freaking booked it. I ran so fast. I jumped over rocks. I was like, Nate, he had a gun. He pulled a gun. He has a gun. I ran so fast into my neighbor's yard. Mind you, I don't even talk to this neighbor. We wave to her every so often. I actually think she probably hates us because my kids are so loud. I'm always screaming. She's probably like, oh my God, these neighbors. So I run into her driveway, and all I can think, I don't even turn around. I could just think, I would rather be shot than have to get in the car with this fool. Like, I would legit rather be shot. Like, shoot me. So I'm running into her driveway, and I'm running up to her front door, and all of a sudden the front door opens, and somebody pulls me in by my arm. I guess her and her sister was vacuuming. There's a big picture window in front of her house. Her sister was vacuuming, and she saw me running up, and she saw the car. She didn't see him pull the gun out on me, but she saw his vehicle. As I'm running, I want to turn around, but I don't, because I don't want to see anything. I just remember hearing the car screech, like fast, right? And I'm thinking, oh my God, I am going to hear a bullet. I never heard the shot because he didn't shoot it, but he did pull the gun out at me, and I did run as fast as I freaking could. I had to get out of there. So like I said, the neighbor and her sister, they pulled me in, and she said, my God, what happened? Like, we saw you running up the driveway. That's why I pulled you in. I was vacuuming. At this point, I'm not crying. I'm not upset. And as soon as I told her he pulled a gun out on me, I lost it. I started crying. I was shaking. I had my house keys in my hand. I had my phone in my hand. I was literally shaking. My knees were like buckling. And I lost it. The adrenaline was just like, either it was coming or it was going. I don't know. So she's calling 911, and I'm on the phone with Nate, and he's like, let me talk to the neighbor, and let me talk to the neighbor. The neighbor gives me her phone to talk to 911. And I explained to them, I just had a gun pulled out on me. I told them what kind of car it was. I gave them the information, this and that. And Nate was already on his way home. Right when he heard they pulled the gun, he was already like getting in his car, basically. So he was already on his way to come home and be with me because I was so shaken up. So I stayed at the neighbor's house. Nathan met me there. And the police showed up. And Nathan and I and the police officers, we went back to my house and we started speaking to the police. All of a sudden, this car drives up and it's this woman who happens to be a neighbor, but she's about a block away. But I've known her because my kids go to school with her kids, so that's why I knew the lady. She drives up and says, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, yeah, everything's fine, you know? And the lady tells me, are you guys aren't by chance talking about that, that car, I forget what you guys aren't talking about that Lincoln, are you? And I was like, yeah, I am. He pulled a gun out on me. Like, that guy's, like, legit pulled a gun out on me. And she was like, oh my God, when he was screeching away, I saw you guys having some type of altercation. I didn't know what it was, but I saw you run away from him. She was like, and then he almost hit my car. She goes, I have his license on my phone. I took a picture of his license. I was like, no, you did not. That is so amazing, right? Like, wow. So anyway, she takes out her phone. Her phone is like 8 years old, you guys. So you can imagine what the camera was like. The police, she sends a picture to the police officer. The photo was horrible. You couldn't really see anything. Even when you got in real close, you still couldn't really see. He thought that maybe he could finesse it at work. So the police officer was going to try and finesse the picture to see if they were able to read the license plate. The day was just awful. Like, I felt really grateful that I wasn't shot at. I felt really grateful that I wasn't kidnapped. But I felt really scared and I felt really sad that this happened. I was sad at the fact that I love running and this guy totally took that away from me, because really, like, I'm really gonna go running in my neighborhood after that. It just sucked. Like, he just changed me. He changed who I am. He changed the way that I trust people. I don't trust people anymore. I'm constantly looking over my shoulder if I go for a walk or run. This has been 2 years later and I'm barely going for runs again. Like, come on. I just would stay doing runs in what's it called? In the gym. But now I started running again and I'm just so paranoid. I don't trust anybody. Like, nobody. The guy was never caught for what he did to me by pulling the gun out on me. He was never caught for that. But I did see him on the news and he was caught for pulling a gun out and shooting an innocent person about a block away from my house. So he was crazy, you guys. My sister's a judge, you guys know this, and I was able to find out that this guy is 19 years old. He had a rap sheet all the way since when he was 10 years old, and he's crazy. He has shot at people. He shot at his girlfriend who was holding their baby. I don't know why he didn't shoot at me that day. I don't know what happened. I don't know if that lady ended up being an angel, the one that he almost wrecked into and stopped the whole thing. I don't know. But it was just really crazy. And I wouldn't want anybody to go through something like that again. But anyway, the guy's in jail. He's going to be in jail for a super long time. It wasn't because of what he did to me. It was because of what he did to other people. And that's really sad. I recognized him immediately when I saw him on the news for that. I was like, that's the guy. That's the dude. Found out that he was crazy. And I'm not sure why I was spared that day. I know that it was God and it was my guardian angel, and I know it was, you know, God protecting me. I know that. I know I'm here to be here with my husband and my children. I know that. But it was just really scary, you guys, and super traumatic. And like I said, I will never be the same after that incident. So I want to give you guys tips on what the officer told me on how to stay safe when you're running or walking or going anywhere alone or going to your car, anywhere. So he said things that I did good was the fact that I let him know that I saw him, like, basically stalking me, basically driving around, because he said a lot of times women will act like they ignore it, and then the perpetrator thinks that they have a one-up on that person. So if they think that you're not paying attention and you don't know what's going on, that's when they strike. So at one point, if I pretended that I didn't see him, he could have very easily you know, parked the car down and ran up to me, came up behind me, grabbed my mouth and threw me in his car. I mean, it could have happened, you guys. So the police said the fact that I let him know that I saw him, and even the fact that I yelled at him, it showed that I wasn't scared of him, and they said that was a good thing. They also said that when the gun was pulled on me and I didn't do what he said, I didn't go to his vehicle, I didn't walk up to the car, the fact that I ran that is what you need to do. You run. Because the cop said, or the police officer also told me that it's hard to shoot a non-moving object, but it's especially hard to shoot a moving object. So that was good that I ran and I didn't do what he said. And the fact that I didn't freeze, they said that that was amazing, because a lot of times during incidents like that, somebody will freeze. They just can't even move. They can't scream. Nothing can happen. So he said that the fact that I was able to even run and get away from the situation, that is what you need to do. He also said for us women to be safe and carry mace with us, carry a knife, anything that you can that is protection. Because if you could keep that perpetrator, let's say they try and kidnap you or take you, if you could keep them at least arm's length by having a knife out to them, that's good, because they can't, wrap their arms around you and take you. He also told me something that was incredibly sad. He said that there's times that women get kidnapped, get murdered, and it doesn't even make it on the news. That they're just literally like found out in the mesa. This is where I live. That they're found out in the mesa somewhere years later, and people just think that they either ran away, they're missing, nobody even knows that they were kidnapped. And so a lot of times that these stories don't even make it on the news. That is heartbreaking. Like, wow. So yeah, that's basically what the officer said. He said that, oh, and the fact that I never went up to the vehicle. If somebody asks you for directions or asks you a question, goes like this, motions you to come there, absolutely not. The fact that I stayed far, far away and I went all the way up into the person's driveway, that's what you want to do. So that's what I did. And he said that that was really good, because at that point, if I would have went up to the vehicle, I could have very easily been grabbed at that time and taken in the car. So that could have been his, that could have been the ammo. That could have been what he was planning on doing. But the fact that I never actually went up to the vehicle, that's a no-no. Don't ever do that. You just have to stay smart and stay alert. That's the only advice I can give you guys, is just stay alert. If that person looks like a nice person, you never know. You never, ever know. I mean, I judge everyone, girl. I don't discriminate. I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, or purple. I do not discriminate. I judge everybody in the fact that I'm going to keep myself safe. And I tell my children the same things. You know what I mean? I want to teach them safety. And you guys just need to stay safe. That's all. So I hope those things helped. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, please leave them down below. But I did want to do this story time. Hi, babe. I was just telling him about the time that I was held at gunpoint.
Wow. Very tragic.
No, it was true. It's a true story. Like, straight up true.
Sick.
Yeah, it's not a lie. Like, it was a true story.
And then that asshole that did that, like, what, not even 3 weeks later, shot someone. He shot 2 people. Like,
yeah, we saw it on the news.
A block away, remember?
My sister told us. Yeah, it was a block away from our house. That's what I was telling you.
And not only that, but he shot at his kid and his wife in a mobile home. Exactly.
That's why I was like, why? When we first found out,
why wouldn't he have shot you?
Right.
If he shot at his own kid and his own chick,
why wouldn't? That's what I said. That I'm very fortunate that I wasn't
you're lucky
like
you
shot
ran.
that day.
He probably would have shot you, because I think he was just like, fuck it, like, I'm going to jail or whatever. He was just gone.
They were just committing all kinds of crimes.
Yeah.
Him and his family, him and his cousins.
So like, you could have got shot that day,
or raped, or taken, or
who knows what would have happened.
Or what would have happened? Like, yeah, it was just crazy. I was just telling them, like, I'll be changed forever from that. Like, I don't trust anybody. Nobody. I don't trust anybody. I don't care what color. I don't care what you look like.
He's just like, oh, I just want some.
No, he was asking. Remember when I was on the phone with you? He was asking me for the directions.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I heard him. Yeah.
It's the street you're coming from.
You're
like what?
That way.
That way, the street you're coming from. I remember the cop was like, him doing that. He wanted you to come to the vehicle. The fact that you didn't go to the car.
And I told you, remember, I was like, Vern, like, you're going to get abducted. Like, that guy, you're like, oh, yeah, right.
No, I was like, don't say that. I was like, don't say that. That's a shitty thing to say.
And I was like, well, what do you think he's doing? He keeps circling around. Like, what do you think he's
like, I'm just like a prey or something, right? Like, what do you think he's doing? Yeah, I told him all of that. Everything, all of that.
Wanted to take him.
Yeah, it was just horrible. And I told them the tips that the officer said to do. Like, let them know that you're watching them. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Don't pretend that you're ignoring them. People make that mistake. They pretend like they don't see them. And then the perpetrator thinks they have one up on them. So that's when they'll get out of the vehicle and literally take you. because they think that you're not paying attention.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm done with the story. So I just wanted to give you guys that story time because I talked about it in another video and I was like, oh, I have a story time. I was literally held at gunpoint and people were like, oh my God, tell us what happened. And you could like save someone's life. So here I am telling you guys my story. It was 2 years ago. Okay, bye guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys next time.
What do you want to do?
Bye.
What do you want to do today?